What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Coach Booker, in the building, man. Once again, we are back live on the line sports media, on the line podcast. And I'm your boy, your boy, Coach Booker. Hey, man, you know I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it by myself. I can't do it by myself. It's your boy, Coach Clark, in the building, man.
Can't do it by yourself. Won't let you do it by yourself.
No, man. Come on, man.
Hey, man, listen, bro. I'm thrilled about this show tonight, man. It's a follow-up of a very amazing event that we had the privilege of live streaming yesterday. So we're going to bring those guys on and a couple of guest panelists from that event, the founder of the event. And we're going to get into part two of this NIL recruiting and transfer portal and all that good stuff, man. We got a very dynamic guest. When you hear it, you might fall asleep because the voice is so soothing.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to bring her on in a few minutes.
Hey, man, I'm kind of jacked up about it, man, because I missed out. Man. I heard, this was she was the voice.
Oh, she was
the radio voice, all that. Right, yeah, okay, she's smooth. All right, cool. Is it Doctor?
Dr. Sheila Benton.
All right, man. Hey, look, without further ado,
Yes.
Dr. Benton in the building. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. And so Clark, y'all give me kind of some insight on what's going on there. I'm gonna let you.
So the event, man, it was much needed. Dr. Benton and I was speaking earlier. She was talking about how she's collegiate level and high school level, but I was thinking about something at the middle school level. We can plant the seed. It's never too early to plant the seed. We just water it and nurse it. Oh!
I can't hear.
Justin, can you hear me? Dr. Benton, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
You get
There's a
us
lot of
now?
background.
Okay. So as I was saying, Dr. Benton, we were part of the panel of the Impact Recruiting Summit. So why don't you kind of expound on your role and what you got out of the event?
Definitely. The event was insightful. As you said, yesterday we had a group of middle school students. It's never too early to begin to plant the seed in terms of athletic and academic eligibility as they roll into high school. And what does that look like to be eligible to compete on the high school level and beyond? So yesterday, they heard a variety of speakers talking about from a professional aspect, from a collegiate aspect, and in terms of what the options are and how to best prepare themselves, again, both academically and athletically.
I love it, man. You definitely, uh, I think you definitely perked up some ears when you talked about the reading piece. So kind of expand more on that. How important is that piece to read? And like you talked about, the mind is a muscle; it needs to be exercised. And
Yeah.
I know you're very passionate about education, so kind of touch a little bit more on that for us.
Absolutely. I am extremely passionate about education. That's something that no one could take away from you. Retaining what you've learned. Studies have shown that this generation is not reading. And if you're not reading, then you're losing a lot. You're not exercising your muscle for sure. Being able to read, it allows you to do everything. If you can't read, you can't do anything. You have to read, you have to comprehend. If you're not reading, anybody can put anything over on you. You have no concept of what's happening. So there again, I'm passionate about education. I'm passionate about teaching and just passionate about being prepared. Once you're prepared academically, as I mentioned yesterday, if you're being recruited at the high school level, if your academics are not in order, you're walking away. Then they're just not going to waste their time. They have so many options. So we're going to go to someone who is prepared. So there again, all the boxes are checked academically, and you're bringing this whole other aspect of your athletic talent. Then that makes it so much easier. So there again, academics is a foundation. Athletics may fade away eventually, but your mind is going to be there. And passionate about preparing yourself for your future. What does that look like?
Hmm.
And so it's never too early to begin to lay that foundation again for the middle school students, the audience that we had yesterday.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. We in our conversation also, you mentioned that you did some work with NCAA. You want to expound on that a little bit for us?
I will. I was with the NCAA from, gosh, that was the latter part of the 90s to the early 2000s. So I was there for about 5 years, and the landscape has changed tremendously. There's so much legislation that is in place now, of course, that didn't exist then, and nor should it because things have changed so very much. One thing that I mentioned to you also that I thought brought a lot of stability to collegiate athletics was the transfer portal.
Mm.
And the legislation that was in place during that time was that if you transferred, you had to sit out one academic year. And that would deter students from bouncing around so much. Um, that has changed. The NIL did not exist. That working at the NCAA, it really gave me even more of a foundation of compliance. Again, the legislation that was in place that started college athletics administration for me was at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and then on to Florida State University, working at one of the largest athletics programs in the country. During that time, one of the most successful athletics programs in the country. So that brought a lot of exposure, a lot of preparation, and it also gave me the opportunity to study for my terminal degree. So I just had the best of all worlds at that point. After that, I transitioned to the NCAA, in which I worked a lot with legislation and interpreting legislation, putting on workshops for the various conferences around the country, as well as athletic certification, which was equivalent to SACS accreditation, if you will, for an athletics department. So I think that really made me well-rounded in terms of being educated about how the full scope of how college athletics work. So it was extremely valuable for me.
Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
So very experienced, very experienced.
Yeah. So hey, so just going back to the reading part, you were telling these students. I think I was listening to maybe a little clip yesterday about you say, look, pick up a book. If you don't do anything but read 10 pages a day, you know, 10 pages a day. just to kind of expand upon your diction, just to get
Yeah.
a better understanding of things, because the truth of the matter is a lot of these high school student athletes are trying to understand the revenue share that comes, the revenue share, the NIL stuff. They think if I play good football, if I play good football or basketball, or whatever sport, they're going to pay me X amount of dollars. There's a whole lot more to it, which is called a contract.
Yeah.
It's being able to understand a contract,
Yeah.
understand and read the fine print, and understand, not only read it but comprehend the fine
Absolutely.
print, right?
Mhm.
Because there can be some legal binding contracts, and then there can be non-binding contracts. Do you understand what that means? So reading and broadening your diction is super important. That was a great message, not only to the middle school kids, but to these high school kids that think they're signing contracts and they're going to get these thousands of dollars, but you're not reading and comprehending and understanding the content of the contract. So that's super important. That message is going to always be relevant and prevalent, right? So that's a great message, and I'm glad you spoke on it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I can't speak enough about that. Again, very passionate about it. If you can read and understand, you can do anything. But if you can't read, that's a major roadblock. Mr. Poland yesterday, you said you saw the tape. He
Yeah.
talked about percentages, and numbers do not lie. And so the student athletes today, what they see is the glitz and the glamour and the glory of NIL, and I want to be that top player. But Mr. Poland talked about that's not reality. What you guys see, that's not going to touch everyone's lives. It's important for student athletes to understand the number of student athletes that compete at the high school level. The higher you go, the smaller the cylinder gets because
Yes.
everyone cannot fit into this little area here. And everyone thinks they're going to make it and be this elite professional athlete. And that's just not reality at all. Mr. Poland really stressed the importance of education. Get your education regardless. And that's something that really drives me. I really want to pour that into the students today, the student athletes today. They have to understand um, I guess, step one, step two, what does it look like? And again, all they see is the glitz and the glamour, and that's
Right.
just not reality.
That's fact.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. There's a whole process to it. Part of it is, and before you get on the field, before you get any type of NIL deal or revenue share, there's a contract involved,
Mhm.
and
it
there's a
is.
contract there's a school contract. You got to sign a lot of paperwork with the GMs there and you got to be able to articulate and navigate your way through even their conversations, like understanding their conversations, because they'll throw some stuff at you and you haven't been reading and educating yourself, then it's gonna fly over your head, and all you're gonna
Right.
do is just give them your signature.
Yeah,
And then now you may have signed yourself up with to where you might think they're gonna pay you $100,000, and the contract said up to
Right.
$100,000.
Right.
So it really don't have to pay you anything. But these kids do need to understand that the education, to me, my message to a lot of these kids is the education is the number one most important thing. If the college is going to give you, say, $60,000, hey, part of that is room and board,
yeah,
Right.
and full scholarship, whatever that amount is. See that, and then they start deducting from that $60,000. They start deducting things,
Mhm.
room and board. You got to pay this. You got to pay this. Scholarship costs this, and this, and then this is how much we really gonna give you.
yeah,
So now it's like, so I'll really only get $20,000. That's it. You said
Yes.
you said 60.
Right.
So they need to be educated up front, man. And we're pretty intense about sitting down, speaking to these student athletes. I know athletes, and I'm committed to doing that myself. But I've experienced it. I have a kid that's currently just went in the transfer portal, and and luckily, he's I'm helping. I'm able to help him navigate through dealing with agents and contract and GMs and just understand what the bottom line looks like. And so, yeah. But the most important thing I told him is, as long as they paying for their education.
There it is.
Yeah, that's super important to me.
King of
That's
it all.
yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You
That
know,
that
another
message definitely has to be sent.
and another aspect, if I may add, is that not to sign anything immediately.
Oh no.
So if you don't understand, definitely do not sign anything. Let me get back to you. Let me share it with my parents or whomever, your guardian, but never to sign anything like on the spot. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. That was valuable information. So the man that brought this all together, our guy, Mr. Justin Adams, man. Welcome to the show, my guy.
I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, man. So tell us what the inspiration was for you to put this event together to open these kids' eyes to the recruiting process and transfer portal and the eligibility piece. Because you had a wealth of knowledge on the panel from Super Bowl winning GM to educators to clearinghouse folks, and you had an agent on. So tell us what helped you bring that whole pie together to present it to these kids.
Well, it goes back to my high school recruiting process, man. I didn't have any knowledge, man. I didn't know anything about a clearinghouse. I didn't know anything about grades. At the time it was SAT and ACT was around, so you had to have that as well with a GPA. I just didn't know anything about it. I thought, I could get on the field, I'll play all 4 years, I start on varsity, and I'm gonna get a scholarship. And it didn't work out like that. So, you know, as I got older, man, I always was fascinated by recruits. Like I would always look at where the recruits are going, the top recruits in the area. And when I got to college, I was like, I want to get into this recruiting thing. So I worked for NCSA in Chicago. I did an internship out there. And once I finished there, my plan was to be an NFL scout, to kind of get my contacts up, and then branch off from there and start my own uh, recruiting service. But God had other plans, man. I ended up start training. COVID came, and yeah, I started Impact Speed training. But I always still had a passion for helping recruits and helping kids, man. So as over the time, I've been building my contacts, and actually meeting with different coaches, helping their programs, sending them players, but also looking at the requirements that's needed to go to the next level. So a few years ago, I actually went to a Christmas party with Dr. Benton's, her brother, Mr. Benton, his Christmas party, and I told her, I was like, look, this is something I definitely want to do. I want to put together something, a panel where we're giving back information to these student athletes. And I knew her background. I knew she worked for the NCAA, and she had a wealth of knowledge, and she also had a passion for the same thing. So she was the very first person I told about this. So this was, like I said, it was about maybe 4 years ago. So I feel like we just manifested it, and over time, the pieces came together. The people came together, and actually, some of those people on the panel were some people that reached out to me probably 2 weeks ago, prior to the panel. I feel like everything's just worked out the way it's supposed to work, and we're just gonna keep growing and making it bigger each year. Um, I think everybody that was on the panel. I think the Charlotte Hornets for us used the space to do the panel, and shout out to On the Lines.
Let's talk about that. When most people start something, they generally start in a basement or a banquet hall. This dude was a Spectrum
Yeah.
center court on the Hornets floor. How
Yeah.
did you pull that off?
And it's just
Most people start in the
relationships,
back
man.
of your room.
Relationships. Like I said, just going to different events. As an entrepreneur, man, you got to be able to take that risk. That's one thing I've learned without being in business. I sacrificed a lot to be an entrepreneur. So it's like I'm not going to be scared of anything. So I don't care how big it is. I'm gonna go for it. And if I fail, I fail. But at least I learned something from it. And it's one of the things I learned from this panel. It's different ways I definitely go about it moving forward. But I don't regret anything. I think we had a great panel. We have great speakers. The setup was nice, but we just want to be able to reach more more athletes and a bigger audience. So however we could do that, and it's going to take a team, but I'm willing to attack that and make that
That
happen.
foundation is great.
Next thing to do is just fill up the arena, right?
Yeah, we'll fill the arena.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
and put us on a podium, on the big stage. Yeah. So
Hey,
so yeah. Hey, did we? I wasn't there, but what's super important, man? You know, me being, I've been dealing with working with kids forever. Matter
Yeah,
of fact, yeah,
I'm one of them.
you're one of them, Justin. I'm so proud of you, man. To see you in this space that you're in, man, it's super important. As a matter of fact, that's more gratifying to me than to see you on a, any football field,
absolutely.
score, hitting people and scoring touchdowns or whatever. This is a lot more gratifying for me, man. So I appreciate you being the guy that you are, man. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Listen, so and I'm still involved in middle school. I'm a middle school head coach now. So mentor, behavior modification, uh, all that, father,
Case
all that,
officer.
yeah, everything. So NIL. When you say NIL, man, I wonder what that means to a kid at the age in middle school. Do they really absorb, those words? What does that mean? That it's like right now they're more of a brand almost. They're a brand. So
That's right.
how do you get the message across? I guess this could be for Dr. Benton. If you're talking to those middle school kids and you're trying to explain, because a lot of them hear NIL, but what does it? How do you tell them? You know, in a way that they can absorb those three letters.
Wow. Um, Name, image, and likeness.
For
They
sure.
seem to comprehend that. They seem to think it's going to be like guaranteed riches. I'm going to be successful immediately. But they have to understand that there are obligations that comes with that. Being a student athlete and getting this type of money, taxes, it's just not free money.
Hmm.
Um, Taxes will have to be taken from that. There are a lot of obligations that comes with that. And again, as you mentioned, the contract, what does that look like? Am I going to have to show up? How many visits or going to various locations, whatever it looks like or whatever it consists of, you have to be weary of that and mindful of that. It's important to have someone very mature that you have on your side that can walk you through that whole process. Instead of just thinking you sign your name on the dotted line and it's just automatic. I'm getting all of this money. It's so much more to it than that. Because if someone's paying you, there are expectations from you as well. So not only that, once you accept that you have to fulfill their obligations, you're also a student athlete as well. So you still have to make academic progress if you want to compete. As someone said yesterday, being a student athlete at Appalachian or East Carolina, it was a quid pro quo, if you will. They got his talents, and they paid for his education, so it was a win-win,
Absolutely.
if you will. Um, it's just those few athletes that they see that are getting the recognition, getting a lot of exposure, and going to University of Oregon. I think the young man from Reedsville High School that has just picked up his family. His entire family has moved to Oregon. So those are the ones that they
Yeah.
see. So it's that 1%, but that whole 99%, 98%, um, that's the reality. They may get some money, but you're not going to get all of this money that you see the very few student athletes getting. It's again, it's a whole new lay of the land that has to be taught. And I have a passion for pouring that into them and ensuring that they understand what that looks like and what does it consist of.
Right. Good. So, you know, what do you feel like is maybe some of the disconnect when it comes to some of these kids being able to balance education and sports. So making the grade not only on the field, but in the classroom. How do you balance that? Because truly, it's a tough transition, especially for a college student to be able to maintain that 3.5 and also you know perform on the football field, basketball court, whatever sport it is that that they're playing. So what how do you what do you see some of the challenges are with them balancing and making the grade in both?
Wow. I think a lot of challenges are our background, the environment. Um, it's so important to pour education into your child at an early age because that brain starts forming from birth to 3 years old.
Right.
You're going to learn more in that time period than you're going to learn the rest of your life. So, what does your environment look like? I think it takes a village. And if they're not getting that education foundation from home, I think the community, it's up to us to step in and provide assistance academically. And yeah, it's important to play sports. I think it helps to make you well rounded. But I really want athletics to carry or academics to carry just as much weight as the athletic side. And again, that's the foundation. Just as much passion as we have for athletics, I'd like to see academics on that same level. And I know that's a ways to go, but I think it can be done. And whatever the community looks like, we just really have to step up and provide, be it the after school tutoring, testing, which seems to be a challenge for us. We know that it's very biased, but I really believe in the concept that it takes a
Okay. Mr. Washington, can you hear me now?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Welcome. Welcome. So you've been following us, right? All right. So and you're pretty big on the you do your daily walk with Washington.
Yes.
I walk with you for the last couple of days, man. Sometimes you get missing on me, man. I'll be looking for you.
Yeah, I've been absent for a couple of weeks. I say, nah, let me pick it back up.
But you talk a lot about you deal a lot with these kids with some of your a lot of your camps, a lot of your camps and things of that nature. You talk a lot about NIL, and you always try to put things in perspective when it comes to these these student athletes as well. You being in that middle school sector as well. You want to kind of speak on some of the some of the experience that you have working with these kids and their thought processes and what you do to pour into these kids to get them keep things in perspective.
Well, getting like we're getting these guys ready. The 2030 classes, we're getting them ready to go to high school. We had a couple high school coaches come out to the middle school games today, um, looking at some kids and speaking to them. So that was pretty good. But a lot of these kids, I don't really think a few. It's the top tier kids really are thinking about high school next year. Like what high school I'm going to pick. Is this high school going to be the best option for me to get on the field and start my career? Because choosing your high school is very important. But a lot of these kids, they're not even thinking about that. They're just, you know, I'm still in eighth grade. I'm not really worried about high school. That choice, my parents say I'm going here, and that's where they're going. So just trying to get kids prepared for that. We're telling them, come June, the second half of June, you're gonna get with these local high schools, and you're gonna be there all summer. If you're not coming to the workouts, you're not gonna make the team. You're not gonna be on the team. They're gonna let you go. So just trying to get them prepped and ready, man, because a lot of them don't really have a clue. A lot of parents don't have a clue of getting prepared for high school or choosing the right high school, I can say. So I'm still in the mix of trying to find a high school for my son, the best fit.
Yeah,
So I
man.
just think that's a big step for eighth graders getting ready to go to high school, is finding the right fit, a place where you can get on the field, a place, you got to look at academics because that's what counts. Your academics ain't together, don't none of it work. But just find the best school for you and getting them prepared. I think that's the best thing. A lot of kids don't have a clue, but you got that 1%, maybe 2% that's really thinking of the next 4 years. Their parents thinking ahead.
Super. Clark, Mr. Clark, you're back.
Yeah, I think I got it back there.
Finally.
Finally got it back there.
May I ask a question, Coach Washington?
Yes.
What does the right high school, what does that look like? What
Go.
do you pour into selecting the right high school?
A place you got to start academic. A place your academics is high and the people around you with high academics. Because most people say all the schools are the same education wise. It doesn't really make a difference. But at some school, most schools, it does make a difference. Because your school, you might got like 30 kids that's top tier. Are you in the classroom with them 30 kids all day? Some schools, that population might be 200. Everybody, is going to school there for academics and they're trying to go to college. They're there for a reason. So, that's like what I think of the right choice, academics. Are you going to be in the classroom with them kids? The next step is if you're doing things more like a culture. I think have been in school with the right culture. Some schools have more things going on than others as far as culture, academics. You try to stay away from schools that got that like middle schools, some of the schools and high schools, they be having the fights. So you try to stay away from a school like that because that's not the culture you try to put your kids around. You want to put them around more like-minded kids, more kids like themselves. Depends on what as a parent you determine that to be. And then if you're doing sports, a place where you might have an opportunity to get on the field and play. A lot of kids and parents want to run to the winners, but that might necessarily be the best place for you because you might not get on the field to your senior year. So, you got to look at all those aspects, academics, the culture. Can I get on the field and play like JV, get on the field, have an opportunity to play and grow. And maybe about sophomore or junior year, I'm playing varsity.
Only thing about it, excuse me, it depends on the county and it depends on geographically where you live. It's your home school, like your home high school, so you can't just choose any high school you want to, I would say, in Mecklenburg County. Or can you? I mean, I know you can. Transfer portal allows the college athletes to do it, but the high school athletes can't do it. But so I don't know how that works and every high school don't fit every kid, right? And we know that, right? So I don't know how that works. What does the right high school? Would you say some tips of the right high school, Dr. Benton? What would you? What does that look like to you?
Yeah, I know in Guilford County we have school choice, so our students
Okay.
kind of get to choose where they would like to attend. There are some stipulations with that, be it academic, be it if you're in an IB program, or of course living in a certain district. But what success looks like, and I take to heart what you said, Coach Washington. I wonder once you're in high school and I hear that whole athletics component, is there a connection to still follow the students all the way through, like to give checkpoints, like where you guys, other than their report cards, to just really hone in and just say, okay, we're midway through the 9-week period, or I'm going to check in with you every so often. I think personally that's what it takes because this is a totally different day. This is not when I was in high school. And I think here in Greensboro, I was fortunate enough to go to Greensboro Dudley, where we had total support back then, where our coaches were on us, male and female. I think it takes a collaboration with coaches and the teachers, and even that outside consultant, whoever that person may be, to follow through with them, to let them know that I see you and I'm going to walk with you through this process. I think it's all about relationship building.
Yeah.
I personally believe in my vision of developing a contract and I'm holding them accountable. They know that I'm watching you, and that I genuinely care. That's a relationship. That's something very intangible. And just being able to follow them through this process, because it can be so complicated now. It really can be. It's not like it was back in the day. So, what it looks like to me, again, it's a mirrored relationship between the coaches and the teachers and whomever that person may be in the community. What does it take? Because they have so many outside, I think, distractions coming at them. Coach
Yes.
Washington, you mentioned, the fights that take place. Never seen so many fights in my life. So that's just kind of where we are now. So how do you address that? How do you change that? What does that look like? Again, they really have to understand the importance of school and the importance of their mind and shaping their mind. Academics, it's just that foundation. And I go back to the community. I believe in the village. I really do. And even if we have to work on that a little bit and tweak that a little bit, it's going to take all of us to make this change, to make it happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So, Dudley alumni. I'm a Dudley alumni myself. Had to throw that in there.
I receive that.
Yeah, yeah. Panther Pride.
With the pride.
Yeah. So yeah, that's super important. But a lot of these kids, a lot of times, when you encounter a kid, coming from home, right, and he's trying to start his day at whatever time. I think they get to school, maybe 7 o'clock, 7:15 or whatever. To me, everything starts at home,
It
right?
does.
Everything starts at home. What's going on at home? Because if this kid gets off the bus and he's already been triggered for whatever, or the environment that he lives in is just not conducive with him being able to focus on education, have a great attitude, you know, yeah, like you said, and everything you spoke on is just basically saying the village, the village. Village ain't like it was, like you said, back in the day.
No.
It's hard for kids. Sometimes it's hard to reach kids based on the environment that they've come from, based on the experiences that they have at home, based on the environment they live in. It's just kind of like it may be a it may be a really great kid,
Yeah.
maybe a really great kid, smart kid, just can't engage with them just because maybe trauma that happens at home, um, which can sometimes create a violent mindset. It can it can disconnect them from really listening and comprehending. So I think the biggest thing is I think it's got to be most of this stuff is really what's going on at home.
No
I
question.
don't, I don't I don't know. I mean, I think we can all kind of agree. We want to. I want to try to. I want my son to go to school with the healthiest mindset he possibly can. But a lot of these kids, the truth is, a lot of these kids aren't entering the schoolyard with a healthy mindset, because of their environment. So before you can even reach them academically, it's almost like, how do I reach them?
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
kind of tough.
And one other thought is just getting the buy-in from the parents,
Yes.
getting their buy-in. You have to get their support. We all have to be on the same page. And what does home look like? Just to really stress that I need your help. I need your help, to get home, to crack open a book. Students, they leave school and they come back the same way the next morning that they left. They've not opened that book bag. They've not taken anything out. Have
Yes.
you studied? Have you read? Have you done anything? Um, and that's the passion that I have for our students, to see them begin to change their mindset. You're going to have to put some work in. And I know athletics is going to be there, but that whole academic component, that will change so much. That will just put them in a whole different light, to bring that complete package. I think that's ultimately what I'm most passionate about, is when they see our kids, we bring the complete package. We have it together. Our I's are dotted, our T's are crossed. We're together. But again, the home, just getting the parents to say, hey guys, I need your help. We can't do it by ourselves.
Mm, that's the key.
I
Well,
believe in partnership, and that's that village again.
Justin, I want to kind of touch on what you do. You deal with a lot of middle school, high school, and collegiate athletes, right? Um, how do you deal with that kid that comes in with that expectation that they're going to be the next guy? And what are some of the things that you pour into them and talk about some of the importance of communication, the work ethic, and understanding what it takes to be a D1 athlete? That's that 5 a.m. Get up, 6 a.m. workout, study hall, treatment, cleans. It's not just getting up there. We're not just getting up there tossing a football. There's a whole lot more time away from the field than it is on the field. So how do you kind of prepare your athletes? Because we know if you don't have speed, which you specialize in, you're not going to make it anyway. But how do you kind of relate to those kids and let them know what to expect at the next level?
Well, first, man, you gotta take care of business. So I always say that you got business to take care. You come in, it's a job. Um, First thing is mental. We always hear it's a mental game, and it is, especially when you get to the collegiate level. I remember of my first fall training camp, we had meetings, practice, back to a meeting, then you got to lift, and I was mentally worn out. I wasn't prepared for that. So it's one of the things I always talk about. Take time to yourself. Take time to get your rest, and mentally prepare yourself for for a long season. Because I mean, this is week in, week in out, and when you're competing for that position each day, and now I mean it's money on the line. So I'm big on mental health. I'm big on because if you don't have your mental, pretty much you're not doing the work. You're not gonna perform as well on the field. So take time to yourself. I always tell kids take time to themselves, and work on your craft. Work on the little things. Um, if you got hands but you don't run you don't run good routes, work on your routes because those little things can help enhance you on the field and get you more playing time. Um, but there's so many little things that athletes could work on off the field that's not related. And not just football, any sport goes back to education. I think the more you read goes back to reading as well. The more you understand the playbook, and that could get you on the field. You know what I mean? You could be an athlete and a phenomenal athlete, but if you don't know the plays, the coach is not going to trust you on the field. And now you're in the portal. You know what I mean? And now and then coaches talk, so they'll tell when they go to a coaches conference, they'll be like, "Yo, this kid he can't grasp the playbook." So now your name is being tarnished out there. So again, man, it's a small knit. It's a small knit of coaches out here. It's a small like I just came back from the coaches clinic last week that was in Charlotte, and Coach Wash was there as well. And we see the same coaches every year, different logos on their chest.
Yep, just
But
rotating around.
that's it. That's it. But they all know the same players, and they all talk. So you want to leave a good impression, man. Have good work ethic. Make sure you're on time in those meetings because that will get you not on the field. And then as you get older, it gets you penalized. It'll take your money away. So again, it goes back to what I always tell them: handle the business. Handle the business. I always keep somebody close to you if you need to call them. Because again, mentally, I know it could be a lot. You're going through. You got situations back home. You trying to make it on the field, and you got a lot of influences out there. So don't look at too much at the media. Don't count the next man's pockets because everybody's situation is different. Everybody want to jump in the portal because they see their friends doing it. That might not be for you. You might need to sit there and wait. You might need to get more film before you get into the portal and then make that jump. So have somebody have a good person on your side that really is in your best interest, and keep your head on straight.
I love that, man. One of the great things I heard a moderator say, she was quoting Nick Saban, right? Are you going to be an and player or a but player, right? And everybody kind of like, what's that? He's great, got good speed, got good size, got amazing hands, all these good things, and he's a good player, and he's a good teammate, and he gets the classroom time. And then you can have all those accolades, but then be a butt player, but he's not a good teammate, but he's always late for meetings, but so how do you guys express that? And I can go to any one of you guys can answer that. How do you express the importance of these kids? Let's just face it. Anything that you get paid for, you consider a profession, correct? So money's on the line, coaching jobs on the line. How do you prepare those guys to be and players and not but players?
Who you directing it?
Anybody?
I don't know. I don't know. I want to talk about the mental health. So, are we? Is somebody muted out?
Oh, that mental health is real, Booker. I had a friend. His son is a junior. He's all conference player for like 3 years, head into his senior year. Really don't have any offers. Has the size, the academics, all the measurables, and he finally broke down to his dad earlier this week and broke down crying, talking about the stress of this recruitment. How it's really wearing on them. That's a lot of kids. I've been hearing over the last 2 years, their parents been talking about, they had the breakdown moment. He had to break down because, he felt he's seeing other kids, getting offers. He feels like he's on that level or better, but nobody's coming to talk to him. And he has like all the accolades, the size, the academics, everything is checked off, but won't nobody give him that first offer. So he had a breakdown. His dad, I think, he in it with him, but he didn't see that coming. And I told him that's a lot of kids out here, man, going through this. Like, they ain't saying that you thinking they all right. They just going through the process. But in the inside, man, they having a hard time dealing with. I don't know if I'm gonna get the scholarship, especially when you meet all the measurables like academics, size, and everything on the field. You hitting all the marks, but then no one's really putting the money on the table. So that mental health is real. People need to check on their athletes. You really need to check on the athletes and ask them a question like, "Are you okay?" They might say yeah, but most likely, if they juniors and they don't have, the juniors, them the most stressed out ones. From what I don't seen in the past, everybody that junior heading to that senior, a lot of these kids is stressed.
I think it's a lot of external pressure more than internal. Like you have a lot of people, especially when we start talking about the NILs and all those things. And so you got a lot of people in their ear talking about the money and all these things, but not talking about what it takes to make the money, what it takes to stay on the team. So I think a lot of these kids get a lot of external pressure on top of the pressure they're putting on themselves. So how do we deal with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there, we encourage mental health counseling. Do we, encourage mental health counseling for the family that's going through this process? Because, a lot of these kids look at that as a savior. You're a junior in high school, and all of a sudden you see these kids get these deals and they start putting the pressure on their kids to take care of mom and dad. You know what I'm saying? Instead of go get that education. Because one of the most important things Mr. Poland talked to me about is, there's life after football, right? So the important thing is to get that degree. Because if you want to become a coach at that level, coach elite level, whatever level, you can't get it without having a degree. You can have all the football knowledge in the world, but if you don't have the degree, you're pretty much stuck. So, so how do we combat that? How do we recognize those things in kids and start, getting them to mental health? I know Sam, Justin, you're really big on that. And so how do you spot that? And how do you approach that?
Well, it's going to take a community. I feel like it should be a group of guys that's in the position that these athletes want to be. They should come back and have a group and talk to these guys and just show them the process. Keep it real, keep it raw, Let them know because I mean a lot of them been through the same process. I've had kids that set out a couple semesters with the injuries or been kicked off teams, and they're able to get themselves together, and they was able to get back on the team and finish out their collegiate career and graduate with a degree. So it's going to take people just giving back and giving back knowledge and mentorships.
Yeah, I think it's you're right, Justin. But I think these, most of these athletes, which is, if we're talking about football, a lot of it's made up a lot of African American kids who just don't feel safe talking to people, right? And they got to find the right men that'll put them in that safe place to be able to talk. We're men and we don't want to be vulnerable, be put in that vulnerable space, and feel comfortable, feel like uh, feel like there's going to be some type of confidentiality involved, or just being able to trust, you know, someone that you can actually talk to. And I think a lot of these kids just don't they don't have the mental ability to actually let go, man, and be vulnerable and be able to sit down because you got to reach them like you guys at the middle school age, even younger than that, and they got to find that safe place, man. And I think a lot of the times that's part of we keep using that word, the village. Who's helping them navigate through all of this? It has to start early. A lot of kids don't want to get tutors. They feel like it's embarrassing. It's not popular to get a tutor. It's not popular to have a mentor. It's not popular for another man to pick you up that might be a mentor, and it's not your dad. You might get picked at, things of that nature. So before you even reach the collegiate level, I mean, if we haven't created that safe spaces, it takes guys like ourselves, doing the things that we're doing. I'm very intense and motivated about sitting down. I always take time to have that conversation, and you got to with these student athletes, just beyond football. We do one on ones. I take time to do a one on one, with a kid, just because I want to meet him where he is, right? And then from there, and then we know how to help him navigate, or we'll at least try to get him to open up. But yeah, man, that's a mental health is plaguing our communities, man, and that's what it is, bro. There's this huge despair of numbers in the African American community, to be honest, as it relates to mental health. It's so that's I think it's a lot of the violence come from that, and we just gotta call it like it is. You can be a student athlete all you want to, man, but with a violent mindset and mental health issues and social media raising our kids, man, it's so many layers and so much stuff we can unpack. It's not even enough time to do it. But yeah, I mean, Dr. Benton, I mean, I see you shaking your head, so I'm pretty sure you probably got a couple words.
I do a few words, and I'm not going to
Sure.
dominate here. To hear what you talk about with the guys, and it was mentioned yesterday on the panel, and something that you guys may have experienced when you played ball in college. I know at Florida State it was really big, the training table and everything that the guys did, they did it in unison. Everybody, they just moved in packs.
Right.
And I think that would be important for our young men. What does the team of leaders look like? Be it a guidance counselor, be it someone to talk about nutrition, the importance of nutrition.
Hmm.
You have to watch what you put in your body. And as you guys said, it's okay because we're human. There's an angle there that I would not be able to have a conversation with young men that you guys could talk with them about, saying it's okay to kind of let your guard down, or you don't have to be tough all the time. And be it no need to be embarrassed about tutoring. because the entire team is getting tutored. Whatever, it just something that needs to be done in unison, to be done together. And I think it would build strength in the team. They would begin to see the importance of academics and what does success look like to them? What is our end goal? So we know that we want to win, we want that state championship, what have you, but being able to succeed academically as well, that has to be a core component. And that whole mental health, bringing in a counselor, bringing in someone that has an expertise in that
Right.
area, that strong male that says, hey guys, it's okay. You know, you're going to feel this way, you're going to feel that way. You talk about even making progress in high school and you're not getting the letters or you're not getting the offers. They have to understand data. There's a ton of young men out here. Everybody wants to play college football, and it's
Yes.
just not realistic. You're not going to get that knock on your door. Everybody, it's just not enough space. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen at the major Division I level. And they have to understand data. I remember again back to Florida State University, and that was during the days of Bobby Bowden. So we were winning national championships. And as time went on, most of the guys knew they were going to the league. Guess what? Everybody's not going from Florida State University. They're getting them from Alabama. They're going to find them at A&T, or they'll find wherever you are. If you're great, they're going to find you. So there's not enough room at the league for every you all are not going. So it's important for our guys to understand the lay of the land. What are your goals? And I think goal setting, that would be an opportune time to talk about goal setting. What are your goals? What is it that you want to do? But again, the data shows how many football players are in high school. It's massive. It is massive. And everybody's not going to get that offer. So being very real with them, developing a strong team, I think that is so crucial. It is. And ultimately, the parents, we have to have the parents buy in. Can't be successful without them. That's just my thought. Yeah.
I just had a thought. Um, Talking about all this education piece and all this good stuff, but ultimately you're going there because of your athletic ability, right? That's why they're interested. So I'll talk to Justin and yourself. How do you? What advice do you give a kid when he's choosing schools? Because some kids just go to the wrong school. Like that might not fit their style of play, right? You have to understand where's going to be the best opportunity that fits your skill set. So how do you guys advise these kids? And Wash, you can speak to that as well because you deal with a lot of kids going into college. So just each of you, just kind of give me one of the top things that you talk to the kids about in regards to choosing a school.
Well, I'm a sort of guy, so a lot of people, they look at oh, if you're under 5'8", you can't play corner. Um, but we just saw the championship game, and Pons is probably gonna go top 3 rounds, and he's 5'8". But typically he's a unicorn. But typically, what you want to do is go to the roster for football. This is for football, basketball too. But you want to go to the roster, and you want to look at your position group, and you want to see the heights of each person. All right. So if you're a 5'8" guy, which you can play Division I, but you have to be fast. You can't be 5'8" running a 4.7 and a 4.8. That's not gonna get you to Division I level. All right, and you could be good on the field, but you gotta think about it. The way these coaches look at it. They look at it how they do it at the league. If you're 5'8" running a 4.7, can you cover a 6'4" guy that's running a 4.2 or 4.3? You know what I mean? And you could be a hell of a player, but it's just scientifically it doesn't match up. So they're not even gonna give you a chance. They're going over to the next person that has the measurables, and he might not even be as good as a player, but he has the measurables. The coach believes in his coaches. He's gonna put him in position to make the plays. So that's how it is.
I love that. Yeah, the eye test is important, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you say to that, Dr. Benton?
Back in the right. You might want to rephrase the question.
did you? So in regards to when players are choosing schools, what advice would you give those guys in regards to uh, what schools are best suited for them? Like based on their skill set and other things, like you just talked about measurables. And, you know, why would you want to go to Alabama if you're never going to see the field? You know what I mean? So, what kind of advice do you give these guys in regards to what school is better suited for them?
Who is that question for?
For Justin answer now, I'm asking you.
Oh, for me. That's a great question. I know I remember years ago when I was at Florida State and had come home. I think I had transitioned to the NCAA, and there was a student athlete that was recruited to play football at Florida State University. He never saw the field. And that's something you have to understand. I think he got hurt. And then where was he on the depth chart? Because at that point, Bobby Bowden's, he's just getting all these blue chippers everywhere. Those are questions that you would have to ask. And you would have to do your research.
Right.
Am I going to get any exposure here or should I go someplace else? Um, you have to understand, am I going to fit in a large environment? Does that work well for me? Or a smaller Division I school. I mean, look at IU, what they did this year. Who would have ever thought? But so you have to really check yourself. Am I going to fit in a school that has 25,000 students? And that's something that you would have to really check within your heart to know, am I someone that kind of keeps to myself, or am I outgoing? Have that conversation with your coach, with your parents. Um, Talk with the foot or the coaches at your prospective school and understand how many more student athletes are coming in that position. Where am I? Will I see the field? Those are questions that you really have to ask. You have to really put those tough questions out there and have those honest conversations with the coaches.
Yeah, I would say ideally you would like for your kid to kind of have an idea what they would want to perhaps major in. Just hypothetically, if you wanted to go to, if you wanted to be an engineer, civil engineer, architectural, electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, I would say, well, son, let's look at North Carolina A&T, right?
Absolutely.
I would say let's look at North Carolina A&T,
Yeah.
and then and then of course, hopefully we would have done our research as well as far as your, what position he played, and we'll go through all of what Dr. Benton said. Do your research, about the depth chart and things of that nature. But ideally, you want the two to fit, right? If you can. A lot of these athletes, unfortunately, a lot of them maybe is going to school for just general studies. At the end of the day, it's just football. So I'm going to play football. But ideally, you would like to see them be able to, put them both together. If you want to be an engineer, uh, and play football, then let's look at
Right.
North Carolina A&T, one of the top engineering schools in the country, right? So yeah, I would think in your selection, you might want to look at that as well. If you're looking to do business admin, something like that, let's look at who has a good school of business, who's thriving out there, and then we can fit football in as well. So yeah, so but now with the transfer portal, that's a whole different ball game. Boom. At this point, you got to go where who wants you. And then if you just want to get down to just the basics, go with whoever wants you.
Right.
Because that's what these kids do. Go with whoever wants you, and being able to have some type of discernment on whether these people are being genuine, or they just want me to fill up the receiver room or the running backs room, or do they really want me to play? Do they really like me? Did I sell myself? Did they look at my tape to determine whether they really want me at their university? Am I going to be an impact? However, but yeah, it's kind of some of the, just kind of my opinion on how you kind of select these universities,
Got
because
to
you
get
can
in
real
where you
easily
fit
get
in.
dropped off and it's over with. You're at their mercy now, right? So hopefully you would have had someone to help you navigate through picking those schools, because some of the parents are oblivious
Yeah.
to how to get their kid to the right school. They don't know, and they don't know, and maybe the high school coach that he played for didn't he didn't have those conversations with him. So it takes guys like us to have these conversations.
It does.
And they feel safe to come and speak to us about it.
We got to get them ready for the new reality. You might not be going to school to play no ball, bro. Let's get these grades up. Let's get these grades up, and we going pro in something else. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Let's go pro in something else. You might beat him at the end when you about 35 and you got that big house and your career going, and he ain't really doing too much. You know, there's different levels to the game. He might be leading right now. From 18 to 24, he might be on. 24 to 35, you might succeed. You know, you might take him in the curve. We got to get ready for it. We got to start having that conversation.
Yeah.
And then we got to start saying, hey, ain't nothing wrong with going D3. Those are great academic schools. They costing about $45,000, $50,000 a year, those little D3 schools, but they're great academic. And you still get to live out your dream. You know, we gotta be honest with them nowadays, man.
Absolutely.
Hey, everybody ain't going D1. Let's start looking at some D2s. Let's start looking at some D3s, some JUCOs. Let's just be honest. Hey, it's a different path nowadays, you know, to get to where you're going. So we just got to be honest with them. And you got to just tell them, like I tell them kids in Sansfield, enjoy it. This might be the last time you put that equipment on, football equipment on.
Yeah.
Like I told Wash, I don't know about this basketball. You better enjoy it this year, because I think this might be the last year you put on a school basketball uniform.
I think overall it can be some bad advice given to a lot of these kids, man. To be honest, I think there's a lot of bad advice out there. And unfortunately, you know, if we just want to talk about transfer portal, because guys are jumping head first into the transfer portal. Not the thing. Once you jump into the transfer portal, if you're a college athlete, then do you? I want you to know, you just gave away your scholarship, your education, because if you get stuck, because there's 10,000 plus 10,000 plus, maybe 7,000 now, since January 2nd. So if you jump 7,000 kids jumps in the transfer portal who had a full scholarship somewhere else. You have full scholarship, education, all that at your fingertips. At some point, it has to be a harsh reality that you may not just be the athlete that you used to be, that you thought you were, right? But I'm not jumping head first into the transfer portal because not only forget the revenue share and the NIL stuff. Forget that. I gotta keep my scholarship. Sometimes I gotta keep, because mama and daddy can't pay for it. Let's just keep it 100. So now the reality is, welcome to Walmart. You gotta go get a job.
Can I see that?
But let's talk about the kids that's forced into that portal. And they don't know.
There are some coaches that are forcing kids to jump into transfer portal. Yes.
And the kids
because at the end of the day,
don't get in the portal. Stay.
At the end of the day, that coach's job is to put that team in the very best position to win football games. And the moment he feels like you're no longer an asset, yes, he's gonna suggest that you get in the transfer portal.
But somebody to tell the kids, don't get in the portal when he do that to you, because it's a year. The scholarship is a year, not a semester. Because they putting these kids in bad situations. The parents don't know. I think you need to get in the portal. Well, you need to stay in the portal. You need to stay at that school, son, because if you get in that portal like he's telling you to do, he's wanting you to get in that portal. So the next 2 days, he can get your house, he can get you out your housing, he can take your funding and everything. The kids don't know.
And you didn't apply for fast. Shame on you.
The kids don't know. I know, coach, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna finish out. I'm gonna finish out the year. Because your scholarship is for a year.
Even if I'm on the bench.
Finish
Even
that
if I'm on the
kid,
bench, I'm gonna still be going to class for free. Sit me on the bench. Let me figure out how to navigate my way through here. Maybe you don't want me on the football field. Maybe I'm not a benefit, but I'm
finish the
not
kid.
leaving. How about that?
Don't leave because some kids don't know they jumping into that portal, man, because they feel the energy and they feel like they're being forced, but the coaches set them up for failure. Because I don't see a couple kids talking about the coach told him to get the portal. He did it. The next day, they kicking him out the residential apartments. They telling him he gotta go. Then he got a bill. They don't took all his football funding. He got a bill, and he don't got nowhere to go. He locked out the facilities, and he don't have a
Wow.
place to stay.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what don't work.
So it's so much these athletes have to be educated on, man.
Yeah.
It's so much,
Yeah.
man, and I'm good. I'm glad we're talking about it. Maybe a parent or someone's listening and say, hey, I might want to reach out to Coach Booker, Dr. Bent. Yeah, I need to reach out to somebody and kind of get a little bit more highly educated and well versed on some of these things because my kid is about to head in that direction. I need to be a little bit more well versed in this stuff. So I'm glad we are talking about it. Not to mention, man, my fear is to see these guys jump in the portal. My son being one of them, going from one university to another. Oh, are you gonna graduate? I mean, these courses are these credits carrying from Tulsa University to Western Carolina to Kennesaw State to wherever else you might go next? You know, what does that look like? When are we gonna get to walk the stage? I need you to get that paper. I need you to get them credentials. Yeah, you worried about that other paper, that other bag. I'm worried about this one over here. Cause I don't need you coming back to the house. Yeah,
Hey.
I don't need you to go back to the house.
When
I
you
need you to have that
making
paper so you can be
six
So
figures, if
when
you
the business world, when they reach out, when you go apply for that coaching job or that job at the banking capital somewhere, Wells Fargo, I need you to be equipped and ready. Like Dr. Benton say, are you ready? You got to be ready.
but for
Are
the
you
kids that
prepared?
gain that high, but for
And
the
that paper
kids
gonna help
that take advantage of that earning potential, you making six figures for 4 years, and then that's a short term, but you are making really some great income for them 4 years. We can graduate on the back end, but
Oh yeah.
you a high potential earner. You need to earn it.
I need you to get that paper. I need to
You
get
go
them
get that
credentials.
paper. You get the paper now. We can go get that paper. But some kids are high earners, and people talking crazy. Like he
I'm
shouldn't
just
be
nervous.
moving. He
I'm
just
just
made
I'm
$1
just a
million,
little bit.
$3 million the next year, $4 million that year. That is some high earning potential.
Oh yeah.
That's not the norm, Mark.
It's not. But for some kids are making $150,000 playing football a year, and then the next school say I'm gonna pay you $250,000, $300,000. Are you not supposed to get the money? People saying don't get the money, but I think these are the people who ain't never had no money. It's how you gonna tell a kid not to go get that, not to go get that? What, is he gonna go get that getting out of college? Some degrees, and some people will set you up for that.
Hey, watch.
But most people, are you gonna get out of college making? If you're not engineering in certain degrees, are you gonna get out of school making $250,000, $300,000?
So you saying go ahead and take the money?
Get that bread.
Yes.
Fund your own school.
How we telling them not to do it?
Nah, I hear you. But you know what? The big unknown is your guy, the agent, spoke on this yesterday. You know, you get this illusion that I can go from Alabama to Miami to Florida.
Everybody can't do that.
But here's
Everyone
the
can
thing.
do that.
You know what he said? The big unknown is before Carson Beck jumped in that portal from Georgia to Miami, the deal was already done.
Yeah.
You didn't just jump out there free. You guys got to understand the deal's been done before they make that move. If you're not one of those, and what Mr. Foley said, you got $20 million for the school, 75% of that's going to the football team, 50 to 60% of that's going to the quarterback.
God.
No. The quarterback, and then you got the what do you say, the receivers and the left tackle, and then the rest is up for how we can, body. So understand your value and what your position is and what the value of that position is important. And make sure you got to build up.
Hey, Justin, you got a big job, man, out there with these kids, man. You got a big job. But you ready for it? You're on the right track. We need to get like 100,000 of them though, sitting in the
Yeah.
stadium the next time at the
Yeah.
next meeting. You know what I'm saying? We got to increase our volume. You know,
Absolutely.
because you're definitely, and we are on the right track. And I'm committed, right? And Dr. Benton, she's committed, right? Coach
Yeah.
Philando, committed. Coach Wash, the buy-in. We're all here to help reach and educate these kids, and so they won't get lost out there, lost in the shuffle. But we want them to understand the most important thing is to get your credentials, man, and that's get that scholarship. I mean, get that degree from that university, and man, that's gonna take you way longer than football or whatever sport it is.
But the right degree, though, Booker, we can't just keep saying get them degrees because some of the degrees ain't gonna be no good in the future. They just AI taking them out, so we got to shoot towards the right.
Man, see,
the right
you
spot.
opening up a whole nother.
We got a whole
That's
Some
another show,
degrees-
man.
Don't go to school for that. 'Cause what you gonna do with that?
We're gonna try to
That's-
close this
that's
thing
another
out.
show,
Watch.
though.
That's another.
That's another
That's
show.
part 3. As a matter of fact, that'll be. We'll let that be part 3. We'll let that be a part of part 3, because you on fire. Yeah, you ready to go? Yeah, put me in the game, coach, because I got the most stuff to talk about.
I should have drank a whole gallon of milk.
Yes, sir. You've had your milk.
Yeah.
So
We can't just
Yeah.
be getting all these degrees, man. We can't do nothing with that degree. What we gonna do with that?
yeah. But we need at least to see that student was able to go through whatever it took to even get there. How did he at least,
I'm with
you know what I mean? The degree that's not minimizing now.
I'm not gonna minimize it, but we gotta think towards the future with our kids. We gotta think 10 years down the line with that degree.
I got you.
You know,
they are
AI
taking some of
taking
these.
over. I don't know
They're
what
taking
we
some of
gonna do
these
after
degrees.
marriage.
Some of these degrees, they're saying they're no longer professional.
I don't know what we're gonna do after marriage.
Yeah, so
Like
they
Japanese
kind
doing
of
that.
tossing that around. So I get it. Yeah. So guys, we're good here. I think this was a great conversation. Dr. Benton, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're gonna call you Sheila. I mean, you're a Dudley alumni. I'm calling you Sheila. You know, we're family.
We're family. We're family.
You ever go to the reunions?
Of course.
Of course, I'm always there.
And I'm always there.
I ain't gonna tell you what class it is, but hey.
And likewise. Touche.
Yeah, it's a little out there, yeah. As a matter of fact, I used to coach Justin, so you kind of start doing the math like, ooh, this guy.
Oh, well.
But anyway, so yeah, Justin, man, we appreciate you initiating this, conversation, man, and with Impact Speed and what you've done. The impact is way bigger than probably what you even realize, and we'll keep this thing going, right?
Absolutely.
Coach Washington, as usual, Coach Clark, myself, man, I appreciate everybody. Continue to, create a space where, in a platform where, we can reach out to our young student athletes, man, and keep this thing going, man. Right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming on. Continue to follow On the Line Sports Media. We'll continue to do what we do, and y'all continue to do what y'all do by following us. All right. Thank you. We'll see you guys.
Thank you, guys. Good night.